Most people think saving $30,000 is harder than saving $3,000. I mean, it's 10 times more money, right? But here's the truth that's going to sound completely backwards. The first $3,000 you save is actually harder than going from 3,000 to 30,000. And once you understand why, it changes everything. My name is Daniel, and I help people understand the hidden mechanics behind money that most gurus ignore. If this video changes how you think about saving, hit that like button and subscribe. Here's what's really happening. When you have $0 saved, you're not just broke financially. You're broke in momentum, habits, and belief. You're trying to create something from nothing, and that's always the hardest part. According to recent surveys, over 60% of Americans couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency without going into debt. Not because they don't make enough money, but because they've never built the habit of keeping money instead of spending it. Let me break down why 3,000 is harder than 30,000 using 3 reasons: math, psychology, and momentum. First, the math. When you're saving your first $3,000, 100% of that money comes from you, your discipline, your sacrifice, your work. There's no compound interest helping you, it's all you grinding it out dollar by dollar. But once you have $3,000 saved and invested at 8% annually, while adding $500 monthly, something changes. By year 5, you're at $40,000 total, but you only personally contributed $33,000. The other $7,000 came from your money working for you. By year 10, you're looking at $90,000. You contributed $63,000, but investment returns added almost $30,000. Nearly 1/3 of your wealth came from money you didn't earn through labor. This is why $3,000 to $30,000 gets easier. Every dollar you save early becomes a worker helping you save the next dollar. Now, the psychology. When you have 0 saved, your brain operates in survival mode. You can't think long term because you're too busy surviving this month, this week, sometimes this day. Every unexpected expense feels like a crisis. But when you hit $3,000, your brain relaxes. That $400 car repair? Still annoying, but not a catastrophe. Your mental bandwidth, which was consumed by survival, now has space for strategy. You start asking, how can I grow this money, instead of how do I survive until next paycheck? $3,000 represents about 1 month of expenses for most people. 1 month where you could survive without income. That's the difference between being trapped and being free to make strategic decisions. This brings us to momentum. When you have no money saved, you have no options. You take whatever job you can get. You stay in bad situations because leaving requires a cushion you don't have. But $3,000 gives you options. You can take a day off to interview for a better job. You can invest in a skill. You can say no to things that don't serve you because you're not desperate anymore. And here's the key. When you have options, you make better decisions. Better decisions lead to better outcomes. Better outcomes lead to more money. It's a positive feedback loop that accelerates over time. So how do you actually get to 3,000? Here's the honest answer. You're going to have to do something uncomfortable. Either spend less or earn more. Probably both. Most people are spending $300 to $500 per month on things they don't actually care about. Subscriptions they forget about, eating out without planning, impulse purchases when bored or stressed. Here's a realistic timeline. If you save $250 per month, you'll hit $3,000 in 12 months. That's about $9 a day redirected from spending to saving. If you can push to $500 per month, you're looking at 6 months. The first few months will be hard. You'll be tempted to give up. You'll see things you want to buy. You'll question if it's worth it. This is where most people fail. But here's what you need to understand. Every time you choose to save instead of spend, you're rewiring your brain. You're becoming the type of person who controls money instead of being controlled by it. Around month 3 or 4, something shifts. It stops feeling like torture and starts feeling like progress. By month 6, you're not the same person who started. You've built momentum that makes the next 6 months easier. When you hit 3,000, protect it. That money is your emergency fund, your psychological safety net, and your proof that you can control money. It's the foundation for 10,000, 30,000, and beyond. The people who have 30,000 saved aren't smarter or more disciplined than you. They just got past that first 3,000. They pushed through the hardest part. And once they did, everything else got progressively easier. The first 3,000 is the filter. It separates people who will build wealth from people who stay stuck. Not because 3,000 is magic, but because getting there requires you to become someone different, someone who delays gratification, makes strategic decisions, and controls their money. Everything after that is just repetition of the skills you learned getting to 3,000. The timeline gets shorter, the returns get bigger, the momentum carries more weight. So if you're starting from zero, I won't tell you it's easy. It's not, but it is possible, it is worth it, and getting to 3,000 is the hardest money you'll ever save, which means once you do it, you've overcome the biggest obstacle between you and real wealth. Start today, because every day you wait is another day you're not building that foundation. Your future self is counting on the decision you make right now.